Here we go again. If this Engage project is actually going to be a success, then I definitely need to try and keep the office a little bit tidier. We're supposed to be working on the bridge today, but as you can see, no, there's trainers in the way and boxes of stuff and screens from when I've been doing computer testing. Right, okay, I'll get tidying and see you in a few seconds then. Okay, now that's much more like it. Okay, so this is the Engage project part 5, or at least I think it's part 5. You'll know by now if you've clicked on the video whether it is part 5 or not. But yeah, basically it's building the bridge. We've got to design and then put together a bridge to span that massive gap between the two desks. I won't beat about the bush, I'll just get straight to it. This is going to help me, and I wanted to show you every step of the process, every stage. So basically here we've got like some little well, you can't call them magazines, but they're like little inserts. I can't think of the exact name, but they came with Hornby magazine, all of those did. And then over here we've got well, something from Hornby, which you get in lots of the different train sets, and then some stuff from Pico. And then over here we've got a couple of really serious books that are going to help us. So, well, where do I start first? Basically, I'll start with probably the least useful stuff, which is this. This is what came in the Hornby train set I bought recently, and your train set owner's manual. Well, it's not really a manual, is it? Let's be honest. It's just a giant sort of poster type thing. But it does provide you with a starting point for doing this kind of thing, because even though the whole Engage thing is just a bit of fun and it's nothing serious, it does involve serious techniques such as fitting track and wiring it up properly, and we are having to build a huge bridge, a seriously big bridge. It's quite a civil engineering project, and this stuff is going to help us. So you can see here that even in this massive Hornby type poster thing, you've got little instructions on how to put together a baseboard and how to pin track down, and then how to wire it up and make sure that the current flows in the correct way and all parts of the track are live and everything. And to the complete novice, to the complete beginner, this stuff is quite useful, but we're not, well, I'm not a complete novice, I'm not a complete beginner, so I need something a little bit more advanced than that. So then I got looking at the Pico Set Track plan book here. This is easy to get hold of. It's readily available in lots of different shops, and it's quite nice because they use all of the famous set track pieces, but they show you lots of different layouts that were built using them. The only place it falls down, I suppose, is that the instructions on how to build layouts are quite limited. It is better than the free thing we got with Hornby, but it is quite limited. It shows you some basic types of baseboard construction, and it shows you about how to put track together and how to wire it up. I don't think it shows you anything on joining. There's something on scenery there. I don't think it actually shows you how to join pieces of baseboard together. No, it doesn't. So again, it was of limited use, but it was part of my research. So I did look through it, and then I looked through the Engage one. So there's a 00/HO and an Engage one, and it's pretty much the same type of thing. In fact, even some of the layouts are really similar to the 00 ones. And then again at the beginning, you've got some very basic hints and tips on actually building your layouts and how to wire it up and stuff like that. I won't show you too much just in case Pico get angry with me, but that's that. And then, of course, we move on to the Hornby book of model railways. I hope you can see all this okay, because I can't actually see the screen on the camcorder at the moment. But I got this ages ago. This is the 2nd edition. I think there might even be a 3rd edition now, or there's probably one planned, I don't know. But this is much more useful. As you can see, it's thicker, it's heavier, and this basically does cover everything. But in a way, that's a little bit of a problem because it does try to cover everything, and we don't need everything. This Engage project isn't going to have any scenery. Just like the test layout down in the conservatory, there's no scenery on this one. It's just for fun. I'm not going to start pouring scattergrass all over my desk, am I? This is where I do work. But even though a lot of the book is dedicated to that kind of stuff, I can just ignore it. I can just ignore that and take out the bits that I do need. And a particular use was how to wire up your layout again, and how to solder power connections to the track and stuff like that to make it really professional. Because even though this is just a piece of fun, I will be doing some soldering. I will be doing some serious stuff just to make it more practical and easier to use, basically. And there's even talk of wiring it into the computers, because obviously this is the office, so there's computers everywhere, and actually digitally controlling everything using software and stuff. So that's quite cool. And this book does show you, again, as you can see, lots of tips, lots of things on how to build bridges. But usefully, it also has sections on connecting up different pieces of baseboard. And look at this, like all the beams that they show you how to build, and the construction techniques so that you can make your baseboards really rigid and strong. And then this stuff here, a good way of joining adjacent baseboard sections. It's really useful. We're not actually putting together any baseboard sections, but we are putting together pieces of wood that are going to form our bridge. So it's kind of similar. There's crossover there. And so yes, I do recommend this book from Hornby, because if you're building your layout, there are going to be times when this will come in, and it's just, again, it's useful to have it there as part of your research, as part of your your plethora of sources and resources and books and information. There's even information in this really old one, Railway Modelling by W.A. Corkill. This was published in the 1970s, and I actually bought this from a book sale at my old school in Alsager years ago, absolutely years ago when I was little. And this is really useful, even though it's dead old. I mean, the guy wrote this before I was even thought of. If he'd done this when I was born, then I'd be called IC77 or something like that. I don't know, but it is incredibly useful. Just look at all this stuff on how to fasten baseboards together and how to make bridges. I mean, there's a whole section on civil engineering. He's got stuff here on the track work and power supply, and I think it's this. Yeah, look at that. I mean, it's actually called civil engineering. The chapter is called Civil Engineering, and it spends ages talking about bridge construction. And he talks about girders and lattice like supports that you can put down the side of the bridge and stuff. And I mean, obviously a lot of it's just for show. A lot of it is just for scenery and to look good. But it's the aesthetic effect aside, there is some really serious practical information here. And because it's 1977 or whatever, they don't mess about. Seriously, just look at all this writing. There's no massive glossy photos here and easy to read little snippets. This is serious stuff. I know a lot of kids today who just would not have the time and patience to go through this, and that's a shame, because this book has helped a lot with the serious layout, with the proper layout, the new layout you're going to see soon. So that was really useful. And again, formed part of my research. As for these things that came free with Hornby magazine, again, really useful. This was one on, look, December 2009, so it's quite a while ago. Supplement, that's the word. Why couldn't I think of that? It's even right in front of me. Supplement. So this is an electronics one, an electrics one, and it basically covers wiring your track up and how to do it. And I have hung on to things like this for years, because even when the proper layout was just a dream, when it was just an idea, I knew that I was going to do it one day, so I held on to things that would help. And as a result, I've got a massive load of stuff to help. So I recommend you do the same. And don't worry about if you've missed this, it'll come around again. That's something you'll notice with Hornby magazine and with Railway Modeller, and even with retro gaming magazines and mountain biking magazines. Every now and again, they'll repeat themselves, because there's only so much to talk about. There's only so much you can do. So after several months or a year or whatever, it just goes round again. And you know, that's the circle of life. But this was really, really useful on how to wire up your track. Now it turns out that because we're not actually having a reverse loop as such, we don't need to worry about polarity and anything like that. But if you were making a reverse loop where it was just basically one line, you know, like a single track, then you would obviously have a polarity issue where the negative is going to hit the positive. This helps you to solve that. And it even talks about electrofrog points. This N-Gage project is not going to use electrofrog anything, and even my proper layout isn't going to use electrofrog. But if you're building a serious layout, if you're building an exhibition layout, I do recommend electrofrog, because obviously it looks more realistic, but you do have quite a bit more wiring to do. It can be a little bit of a headache, but as long as you do it well and you wire it up properly, job's a good one. So that's the electronics supplement. Now we start to get some really useful stuff here with something that came out in March 2010, the Valley Colliery. Look at this. Look how they build up an entire sort of branch line, if you like, using these little polystyrene bits of foam, and they gradually, because obviously it's trained, so you can only climb very, very gradually, but they gradually build up to a bridge. And then you can see just there that once they've built up to a certain height, they use some balsa wood or plywood or more polystyrene, and they actually build the bridge. Now, even though I'm not actually going to be using any polystyrene, I'm going to be using balsa wood and various other materials, the technique and the principle is more or less exactly the same. So that was really, really useful. And again, I'm obsessed with post-it notes, aren't I? That formed part of my research, and I'm sure Hornby Magazine won't mind me showing you this, because it was just really, really useful. But the most useful one they did was this. This is a supplement that came out in March 2011, so this is the most recent one. And this is Construction Essentials. And just look at the post-it notes here, it's post-it note overload. And I start at the bottom first for some reason. Look at that. Just look how useful that is. I mean, they practically show you everything. And what we're really interested in is if I just pull the post-it note off. Look at this bit down here in the corner. Can you see that? Can you see how you've got like adjoining baseboards? They show you how to do that. They show you how to essentially use separate pieces of track, but to wire them up together so that when the two bits do come together, you still have conductivity between the two sections. You still have electricity flowing from one section to the other section. And they show you how to do that. And they show it you in quite a bit of detail, actually. If I just turn the page, just look at this. I mean, you can actually see, I don't know if it's copper or brass plating or whatever, but you can actually see how they've achieved that there, and how they had to remove sleepers. And yeah, it's a little bit of a shame that you have to do that, but I'm sorry, electrical conductivity is essential, because our locomotives don't run off batteries or diesel or even coal. We need that electricity flowing through the rails in order to ensure that the train doesn't stutter and doesn't stall as it goes across the bridge. And they show you everything. And there's various techniques you can use, which I'll come on to in a second. And then finally, they have a section here on wiring the layout. This is really useful again. And if you're going to build a layout, even if it's not an exhibition one, you're going to have to get your soldering iron out at some point. You're going to have to be serious and do a good job and solder wires directly to the rails, just like that. And then of course underneath, you know, your framework, you're going to have loads of these little plastic junction boxes where your cabling runs all around the layout. And yeah, I mean, just look at that. At times you can end up with a massive cabling. Well, just wait till you see the videos on the proper layout. So really, really useful. And basically this is step one of building a bridge or building a layout. Well, no, I guess it's step two in a way, isn't it? But this is what you need to do before you start getting your tools out and sawing bits of wood. Do your research. look through as many supplements as you can, look through as many magazines as you can, Model Rail, Hornby magazine, Railway Modeller, and basically buy official stuff by Pico, who, as we know, are railway gods, and buy official stuff by Hornby, who are also railway gods. I mean, they've been doing it a long time, and even though some companies are more serious than others, you'll pick up little bits from all of them and then put that all together in your head, in your brain, mash it all up, and you'll be good to go, basically. So if I just get all of this stuff out of the way, I want to just quickly go through our problem, the problem that's unique to the Engage project. So here we are, some paper. I hope you can see okay, I think you can. A Sharpie, where would I be without a Sharpie? Come on, let's be honest. So, our problem is that we have a desk that ends sort of like that, and then over here, if that's the wall, and there's the window, over here we have another desk that goes off down the room like that. So this is our desk, and this is our other desk, okay? And we've got track that's basically running to the edge of this desk here, and it's running to the edge of this desk over here, like that. Okay? So there's our track, just there and just there, and we need to span this bridge. We need to cover this huge gap. Now, originally, I was going to use one solid piece of balsa wood or plywood to form that gap, and it was going to just lay across the gap like that, and it was going to rest on two ramps, if you like. And what these ramps were going to do is they were going to build up the track to the height of the bridge, so that the track would gradually, I hope you can see all this okay, just check the screen, yeah, I think you can see this okay. Just check I've got enough recording footage as well. So basically the track was going to climb ever so gradually and then go across the bridge like that, and it'd be at the right height, and at some point, maybe here or here, well, yeah, at the respective ends, we were going to need a connection. We were going to need to make a connection. Now, this idea has been scrapped. The reason for that is because, well, the gap is just so huge. Let me just get you this piece of balsa wood. Here we go. This is my piece of balsa wood. It's absolutely huge, as you can see. It cost about £3 or £4. You know, this is Engage stuff. It doesn't weigh very much. It really doesn't. So it's more than strong enough. Plus, you can always add supports along the bottom and make it even stronger. But the problem is, it doesn't actually span the gap properly. If I just move the camcorder and I show you what I mean. Okay, hey, so here I am again. And yeah, basically, look, we've got one edge of the desk over here, and then the other edge over here. And this is our balsa wood. This is our big panel that was going to basically be the foundations of the bridge that our Engage track was going to run across, just like that. You know, both rails, because there's more than enough room for both rails. But look, it doesn't fit. It's not big enough. It's too small. Plus, even if it did fit, even if it was long enough and I bought a section that did fit, I would have to store that somewhere all the time. And just look how big that is. It takes up too much room. Where would I put it? Where would I store it? It's not practical enough. This has to remain a working and functional office at the end of the day. So that idea was scrapped, and instead I went with this idea. So we've got two pieces of balsa wood, and basically we're going to need 3 connections, because put together these more than fit. In fact, they're too big. So if you can just imagine a hinge at the bottom here, and then your track running over the top, and then basically when it's not in use, I would just lift the thing up like that. It would fold down, and then I'd put it away, and it takes up less space, it's thinner, it's smaller, and it's even stronger, because this balsa wood is actually thicker. If I just show you the two pieces side by side, I don't know if you can see that on the camcorder, I hope so. But this is actually thicker, so it's even stronger. And again, if you wanted to make it stronger still, say you were running really, really big N-gauge heavy trains, you can run a beam right down the base of that piece of balsa wood to stop it from warping and stop it from bending and stuff like that, to give it added strength. So because this is more of a complicated solution, it required even more research and, well, metal hinges and metal contacts and stuff like that. But again, there's plenty of room. If I just grab some N-gauge track and I lay it on the top like this, you can see that there's more than enough room there. In fact, you could easily, I'm not going to do it, but you could easily fit 3 on the piece of wood. So you can easily fit 2 at a nice safe distance apart, so that freight loads never collide and stuff. And there's even room on the side, on the edge, for us to put some detailing, for us to put some girder, you know, some lattice structure to make it more realistic, basically. So that's a brilliant solution. We just need to tackle the problem of running the track to the ends like that, and making sure that electricity gets conducted from one section to the other, whilst the whole thing remains flexible and practical and removable and storable. So, back to the drawing board. There you are. Thanks for joining me again. So, how are we going to solve this then? We've agreed that we're going to be using the thicker but shorter pieces of balsa wood. Made in the USA. Cool. And it's thicker, it's stronger, but we need a hinge section in the middle, and we need to obviously make sure that there are contacts at the side. Well, I've again been doing some research into it, been doing some thinking about it, and I guess the first thing we need to do is to probably tackle the ramps at either end. And so we need the, like if you can imagine that this is the desk, okay? So this is a side-on view, and this is our desk. So this is the surface of our desk, and this is just, you know, the open air. This is the gorge, this is the big canyon. We basically need to be having a ramp that looks a little something like this. Okay? So that the track, the N-gauge track, very, very gradually comes up here, it very, very slowly, very gradually climbs up the ramp, and then it's going to cross onto the actual bridge and go over the void. And basically what will fall into this section is our bridge. So that is the sorry for the messy drawing, it's really hard, but that's basically going to be our balsa wood that I just showed you. So that's going to drop into the edge of this ramp and form a nice seal that's level with the top of the ramp on this side, that goes all the way down to the desk. Now, the electricity is usually conducted via the track all the way over, but what we're going to do in the ramp is we're going to pull the electricity off the track, and we're going to send it through a wire to metal contacts that are here. So if you can imagine a pin pushed down into the ramp, and then a metal sort of plate, you know, like a metal swing plate. Just imagine like a, I don't know, just that sort of shape. You know, a maybe 5mm by 10mm metal copper plate that's going to swing round on a pivot, on a hinge, into this position, and it's going to swing round and cover some contacts on the actual bridge, on the bridge section, and then that will run the power all the way down the bridge to the hinges that are in the middle of the bridge, where there'll be a similar sort of mechanism. So basically, we're building lots of redundancy into there, so that the electricity isn't carried just via the track, because obviously we're going to need a cut in the track, just here. So if I draw a nice little pair of scissors, we're going to have a cut just there. We're going to have to cut the track, and we need to make sure the power gets across. So we're going to use this. We're even going to use something like on the side of the bridge, on the side of the ramp. We're going to use like a pin thing, and I'll show you that in the next part. But basically building redundancy into there, making sure that there's loads of ways for the electricity to get across, means that even if one should fail, or one of the connections isn't quite right, the electricity will still get through somehow. And all you do then is you build another piece of wire. You get your soldering iron out, you solder some wire that comes off the bridge, and then we'll go up and touch the various parts of the track. So if we make it a little bit 3D, you just make sure that they never meet, obviously, that you never cause a short circuit. And basically that's it. But yeah, this all sounds nice and straightforward, and this power thing is even going to lock the bridge in place, which is really cool. However, how do you build this ramp, Will? How do you do that? Easy. In stages. I mean, I've drawn it there as one solid thing, but the ramp is actually going to be sections. The ramp is going to be built up in layers, almost like it's been 3D printed. So if I get a new piece of paper, our ramp, which is going to be quite a unique shape, is going to be built up in sections. So there's a massive big bottom section, and then a shorter section above it, and an even shorter one, and then an even shorter one. And you basically put all those sections in one by one. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's like it's being 3D printed, layer by layer. And to do that, it's back to balsa wood again. But look at this. Look at these really thin sections. Just look how thin that is. It's like paper. So, as you can see, this definitely would not make a very good bridge. But if you can picture it in your mind, if you can imagine it, this sliced up and then layered on top of each other would allow you to very, very gradually build a ramp. So if my bottom piece, I'm not going to draw it on because I don't want to make a mess of it just yet, but our bottom section was, say, 20 centimeters long, so we cut there, and then the next section on top was just 17 centimeters long, so we cut there, and then 15 and 13 and 11 and 10, and basically until you end up with a really nice gradual ramp. And I bought 2 of these. I think they were only about £1.50 or something like that, so really, really thin. But we don't need to worry about strength or anything because they're going to be resting on the desk. So if I take all the paper away, they're going to be resting on our desk, just like that. So we'll make a cut there, done, and then we get another piece of balsa wood and we put that over the top, but this time we cut it shorter, done. And just like a 3D printer, bit by bit, our ramp is formed. And then all we need to do at the end is make a cutting into the end so that there's room for the actual bridge section to fall into place. And then we obviously fit our wiring, we fit our metal plates and our contacts. And before you know it, your ramps are done at both ends. And then you need to just worry about the bridge and the hinges in the middle. So, because I've talked and talked and talked and rambled and rambled and rambled, what I'm going to do is build it. I'm going to actually measure it all out. I'm going to put it all down and actually stick and glue, and I will show you all of that. And then once it's all done, I'm not going to run a train, but I will push some N-gauge wagons across and test its structural integrity and how good a bridge it is. And all that will be in the next part. Thank you for watching.